Welcome, Degens, far and wide, to another edition of the Degen Docs. That is right, folks. We're in NFL Week 7. It kicks off tonight. We've got your injury update. That's right, expert injury analysis. We've got a Thursday night football preview. We've got our props of the week. We've got our fantasy football love-hate scale. And, of course, we have our best bets, our prescription from the Degen Docs to you. And we can't end it without a little Degen parlay, folks. That is right. We got a jam-packed show with all the action for NFL Week 7. So without further ado, let's ride. So this NFL Week 7 betting picks and fantasy tips edition of the Degen Docs on the Sports Gaming Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code SGPNDOC to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football and the NFL with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamingpodcast.com/RITHMM. All right, folks. I am one of your hosts here, the OG Degen Doc. That is right. But more importantly, I am joined by my co-host, my brother in degeneracy, Mr. Derek Bennett, a.k.a. Professor Locks. How we doing tonight, brother?
Hey, I like the inclusivity tonight.
Why are we starting off with
you
Pierce deep? What do we do?
You used to always start with we are the Degen Docs far and wide, but that far and wide part has been missing over the last probably 3 or 4 weeks. I've taken notice. Your intro to the show has changed a little bit, but I'm glad to hear it back.
I now see what you're saying. Yes, all Degens are welcome. All shapes, colors, sizes, whatever it is, folks. Exactly. If you are a Degen, we will welcome you with open arms.
It doesn't matter if you're from, the great state of Ohio,
good Lord,
all the way down to Florida, Carolina, California. Yes. Our Canadian friends, we love you.
Yes, sir. And look, we will open it off by a nice welcome as always. And we got Joseph in the chaff. Let's go. The boys are back. Yes, sir, Joseph. Right. Cheers to you, Joseph. Cheers to you, my friend. And cheers to all the listeners out there. It's week 7, baby. Let's make some money. Let's talk some football here. Get the chat popping. Let us know what you're thinking. Why don't we start off with a little bit of banter here? There's been some news in the NFL. There's been some guys changing teams, some trades going on. Look, Davante Adams, now officially a New York Jet. Both of us would have loved if he could have just done it 24 hours sooner to help them. I mean, look, they had the refs on their side. Actually, the refs in that game were terrible. Let's talk about the refs, actually. First off, this is a little off script, but those refs, I know your 9 p.m. bedtime, you didn't get to see the whole game. But for what you saw, that was one of the worst officiated games I've ever seen.
I completely agree. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they thought it was still like the preseason or what, but every other play, it seemed like.
DPI, holding, the most egregious bullshit roughing the passer penalty on a normal ass sack. I was a Jets backer. I've got money on the Jets to win a division. This is a big game. I immediately saw that. I mean, AJ Epinesa, great move, would have been his second sack of the night, just tackled him. I understand because Aaron Rodgers looks so brittle, he looks like a Life Alert patient. That does not mean that you got to throw a penalty. That was absolute garbage. I think 22 or 24 accepted penalties in that game.
Yeah.
That was awful.
Outrageous.
I pray, because it was on Monday night, that the NFL looked at it and said, look, guys, we cannot do this. It was a bad product. It was absolutely a bad product.
For sure. So it'll be super interesting come, Thursday night game. And historically, Thursday night games have either been barn burners or complete shit shows, right? And it'll be interesting to see whether the officiating will change for this Thursday night. Will we see hardly any flags thrown? Will they let the boys play tonight in a game that could just be an ugly game to begin with?
I was gonna say, it might not matter what they do. This game might be ugly regardless. But we will get to that. But first, let's talk a little bit of trades here. Davante Adams to the Jets, Amari Cooper to the Bills. Who do you think this helps more? Or is it, even where are you at with these?
I'm kind of even on these. I think Devontae Adams obviously has that connection with Aaron Rodgers already. But heading into the season, the reason why I was kind of down on the Buffalo Bills to begin with was that wide receiver room. There was so much movement there, and we just didn't know what that passing game was really going to look like.
Yeah.
It's been kind of up and down.
Very up and down.
You're bringing in a guy with Amari Cooper that obviously in Cleveland, it didn't matter if you brought back Jerry Rice and Randy Moss. That passing game was going to look like a shit show. So, I mean, Amari Cooper is definitely loving himself just to go a little east, maybe a little bit north up to Buffalo. And I think he is stepping in as easily that number one option. But, it'll be interesting to see how the Devontae Adams transaction will affect Garrett Wilson and his playmaking abilities. We know he's a stud. And, for whatever reason, that matchup with Aaron Rodgers just hasn't worked out so far this season to where it could be, where we were kind of hoping that it would be. So it'll definitely be interesting in both cases. But like I said, I'm kind of even on both of these. I think they're definitely improvements. But like you were saying before, I mean, both of us were kind of high on the Jets coming in. So hopefully this does help them in terms of our futures.
Yeah, no, exactly. And look, I mean, really for both, right? Amari Cooper, at least I did. I don't remember where you were at this, but I'm on the under of Keon Coleman's receiving yards for the season, right? So, he had like one or two good games and he's kind of been a ghost. Otherwise, I think this definitely moves him down the depth chart. Guys like Curtis Samuel. I do think Khalil Shakir is still going to have a role in the slot there. I think if anything, this kind of helps him.
I agree.
To not have all that pressure because he's not a wide receiver one.
No,
and Amari Cooper is. And then on the Jets side,
certainly can be.
I mean, we know one thing. It definitely threw Mike Williams to the curb. A guy who I was a little bit hopeful for.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't. I mean, he's been, I guess, showing up to the facility, but he's been like working in the training room and with.
Yesterday he didn't practice, didn't show up at all. Today he did show up, but he was off on the side. I mean, I'd be pissed too, dude. Let's think about this. The last two games have ended with an interception thrown at Mike Williams. He doesn't get shit thrown at him all game, and then Aaron Rodgers throws. The one against Minnesota, I don't know what he was doing. He threw it on the inside. I don't know where he was throwing that ball to. And then even last week, I mean, I understand Williams fell, but he underthrew the shit out of him. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that was when that transaction got done, was when Mike Williams kind of fell down and that ball was intercepted. So
for sure,
we'll see how those play out. But I agree. I think it is a bump.
And it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing with Mike Williams, where he potentially will go. Are you spilling your beer again?
No, it's not my beer. It was some of my giant duffel bag.
Gotcha. Anyways, but will Mike Williams end up on a contender? He obviously hasn't done jack shit basically all season. It'll be interesting to see which teams will be interested in him. As a Steelers fan, they can use some help at wide receiver. I don't know if Mike Williams would be the guy that I would necessarily be targeting, though.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. You got Kansas City, a couple of teams that could use a wide receiver. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. All right, let's get into this week. We'll start with the bye weeks there. What two teams do we got on bye?
We have, let me think here.
It is.
I had it up there.
I didn't mean
Chicago,
set you up there.
The Bears, and the Dallas Cowgirls are both on bye this week.
Yes, the Dallas Cowgirls are very beat up and they need the bye, so it comes at a good time from them. The Bears actually probably wouldn't have minded if they didn't have a bye. They were actually looking pretty good going into the bye week,
which is always kind of do you want that bye early on in the season, later in the season? Kind of brings up that debate, and it really just depends on how the team's rolling, in my opinion.
It's kind of tough to say from the outset, right? Obviously, if you have a younger team, you would think you would want, rookie quarterback, something like that. You'd think you'd want the bye week a little bit earlier and make some adjustments. Sure. But like you said, I mean, it just depends on where you're at going in. Someone like the Cowgirls and the Eagles coming off big losses, probably good to get that week to regroup and get some injuries back. I just like talking about how the Eagles and Cowgirls took some major losses recently. So, all right, let's continue on here. Look, this is the injury update portion of the show, folks. If you have guys that you want to know about, We're going to be running through them fairly quickly because we got a lot to get to tonight, but we are definitely going to spend some time on injuries. We do have a ball game coming up in about 45-ish? Is it 8:15 or I never know. These are one of them is 8:20, one's 8:15. Fuck if I know. But let's start off with Arizona. Let's start off with these Cardinals who are going up against the Chargers this week we got another doubleheader on Monday night, so we got to plan accordingly there. But concussion. He practiced this week on a Thursday, the first official practice, which is not only a great sign, but almost unheard of in today's NFL. Everyone seems to be missing a week. With him practicing and still having 2 practices to go, where are you at with Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Yeah, I mean, especially with them playing on Monday, this is a great sign. Early on, we're always looking for that Thursday practice for even a Sunday game. If they don't play till Monday, they got some extra time here for him to get that full practice in. I, at this rate, would probably expect Marvin Harrison to play unless for whatever reason he starts to develop some lingering symptoms that, tonight when he lays down to bed, all of a sudden the room starts to spin or he picks up a headache or something like that. But early practice, definitely a great sign to pass through that protocol.
Yeah, this is great, right? Like you said, on a normal week, if a guy practices on Thursday, that's a great sign. So for him to be practicing on essentially his Wednesday practice with him playing Monday, that's awesome. So definitely happy there. If you're a Marvin Harrison Jr. Owner there or manager, and if he does play, concussions are something where you don't really see a production dip. There's not a huge re-injury risk type deal, so you will roll him out there if he does play. Moving over to a couple quick ones here. I'm going to roll through Atlanta. Justin Simmons, they're one of their big free agency additions. Dealing with a hamstring injury. Did not practice yesterday, but limited practice today. Usually don't see guys play right after they pick up a hamstring injury because of the high re-injury risk. So we'll kind of monitor that one. I do think whether he plays or not, he's going to be limited. So I'd almost like the guy to not play to get that extra week, especially with the hamstring, but we'll see there. I want to monitor. And then linebacker Troy Anderson, who stepped in for Nate Landman and was Defensive Player of the Week a couple weeks ago, still not practicing with his knee injury. So a couple of defensive injuries there to keep in mind. Let's talk about the Bills now. A couple more that you can give us some insight on. James Cook dealing with a bit of that turf toe. Well, they've not confirmed that it is turf toe, but based on his injury, based on everything we've seen, it's a mild turf toe is what we're going to go with. So limited practice yesterday, full practice today, and Ray Davis, the rookie who kind of popped from Kentucky, picked up a calf injury and was on the injury report today. So, where are we feeling with Cook here getting a full practice on Thursday?
I'm liking that. It's definitely some good outlook moving into the weekend. Anytime we see that full practice slot, it is a good sign. But at the same time, anytime we're talking of those turf toe type of scenarios, you kind of have to be cautious because anytime you start pressing and pushing and putting weight onto that forefoot, that toe area, this can be a fairly burdensome injury. It can be pretty painful. We know that he sat out last week. Usually this is like a 2 to 3 week thing. So he's kind of in that timeline to begin with, especially if Ray Davis is starting to get beat up a little bit as well. I would expect James Cook to go. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And like you mentioned, turf toe injuries can be nagging. They can re-injure. So something to monitor, but the full practice is definitely a great sign. So we'll see what he does tomorrow. Someone who I feel a little bit more confident about is wide receiver Khalil Shakir there for the Bills. Now he did play last week. Didn't look like himself. It's kind of an easy play to the under there. As far as I think I went with under longest reception when I was kind of just on my own looking at the game on Monday. Just because it was a situation where we talked about it, it wasn't going to be fully healthy coming in, and it kind of came to fruition there. But full practice after playing, great sign. Again, I talked about it. I think the Cooper signing actually helps him out. Taking, having that real threat on the outside. I think it allows him to operate over the middle a little bit more. So I definitely do have a positive outlook for Khalil Shakir this week. Well, kind of moving forward, we'll talk about this week. They've got a tough matchup against one of the best pass defenses in the league in Tennessee. So let's talk about some guys who are coming back from injury. We'll start with Carolina Panthers running back Jonathan Brooks. Look, yesterday was his first practice coming off the IR. His practice window's open. He's not technically activated off it yet. This is a rookie with about 11 and a half months removed from his ACL, no training camp. He did not practice today. So had a limited practice yesterday, did not practice today.
Yep.
Where are you at? Is this alarming to you, or is this kind of something expected?
I would kind of expect this, especially the way that Chuba Hubbard has kind of come on the scene over the past few weeks. I think Carolina has a dude at running back that has been a dude. I mean, Chuba Hubbard has really carried that Carolina offense up to this point.
A damn good player this year.
He really has. I mean, Jonathan Brooks is a good player coming out of Texas, but I think with that ACL tear, with Carolina not having a great outlook on the season to this point, I would not be surprised if they bring him along slowly through these next few weeks while his practice window is open, rather than kind of rushing him back within the next week or two, right? Nick Chubb, kind of the similar situation, right? His window opened up a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
He's been kind of a slow load, if you will, into his practice schedule. He's back full practice.
Full practice this week. Yep.
This week. So
big step. Yep.
Big, huge step there. Do I expect Nick Chubb to go this week? Probably not. I would probably look for him maybe next week, potentially the week after even. But we're getting closer to Nick Chubb being in the backfield in Cleveland. Jonathan Brooks, on the other hand, he's going to be out for another few weeks.
Yeah, and we talked about it. Look, Brooks or Chubb's going to be activated because he has to be activated,
right?
Or he would miss the rest of the season. This is his final week for that. I do not think that he's close to 100%. He's going to work slowly in. He has a bad offensive line. He's going to face a lot of stacked boxes. So temper expectations here.
Right.
It's awesome that he's even approaching getting back to the field. Only 13 and a half months from ACL, MCL, meniscus. But with both of these guys, we've been telling you all season, just temper expectations. We're still Chuba Hubbard guys right now for sure. I mean, Chuba Hubbard, third leading rusher in the NFL currently. And then this week with Jerome Ford likely out, I'm on Pierre Strong. Someone who I'm going to be, I like my RB2s. Bucky Irving and Tyler Algier got me paid very, very nicely recently.
Yes, they did.
We will see there. All right, let's move on to a couple quick hitters, and then we'll get to some stuff that you can drop your expertise on. Laramie Tunzel, the left tackle for the Houston Texans, obviously a huge piece of that offensive line. He's dealing with an ankle injury. He was unable to return to the game last week. He did pick up a limited practice yesterday, which is a great sign for his potential this week. Let me see what he did today. I didn't grab that, but
I can take a look at that one for you.
Full participant today. Beautiful. Exactly what you want to see there. So it looks like he's going to be good to go there. Obviously a huge piece. Larry Tunzel, their best offensive lineman, going up against a pretty formidable Packers defense. Speaking of left tackles, let's just go through a couple here. Eagles left tackle, Jordan Mailata, he got carted off with that hamstring injury. I think it's pretty safe to say he's going to be out this week, not practicing at this point. And then the big one that absolutely, it just kills me. Obviously,
should we take a moment of silence for the New York Football Giants?
I pour one out. If I didn't have, if I was maybe a couple more years in, I'd do this and hear the wife be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" But no, Andrew Thomas, man. As a Giants fan, let me just say this. I might have done this on this show fucking Monday, but fucking
don't cry. Oh, sorry.
No, I'm not gonna fucking cry. Fuck off. Look. In the last 5 or so years, there's been few and far between games where we're going to play Philadelphia, and I feel confident going into that game. Even though we lost to the Bengals on some horse shit last week, even though the Eagles were coming off a win to the Browns, I really, really felt good about this Giants team, getting Malik Neighbors back, Tyrone Tracy doing his thing, offensive line playing good. And then we have Andrew Thomas come up hobbled, not even really like something that was hugely, he finished the game. Right. And then he gets an MRI, and then boom, Liz Frank injury, out for the fucking season. I mean, this is the offensive line that we haven't had to talk about, who's been the topic of discussion for the past 5 years every single day. And we finally get him where 100% of the snaps, the same 5 guys played, and boom, our best player, the stalwart, the anchor of that unit is now out for the season. So clearly I'm not fucking happy about it, but it is It's definitely in the Eagles' favor now.
Yeah.
I think Josh Azudu is going to kind of swing tackle. Evan Neal has been relegated to the shadow realm or whatever the fuck we're going to put him because he's just been an absolute buck.
Hey, remember, is it Ozudo?
Josh Azudu? I don't know.
Whatever his name is. I believe he was in at tackle when Danny Dimes got his dome rocked.
Was that the neck or the ACL? See, I don't even
believe,
know when you say
Danny
Dimes.
I believe that was the neck.
Know.
I believe
Look,
that was
man. So obviously, to those who are not impartial and don't feel some type of way about it, this is a huge loss for the Giants. Absolutely massive. Can't overstate it. Yes, the Eagles also are losing their left tackle for a little bit of time. Definitely this game, but I just historically they've been able to manage it a bit better than this Giants team. But we'll see.
Sure.
All right. More people actually give a fuck about Jonathan Taylor, Indianapolis Colts running back, high ankle sprain. An injury that didn't look like much when we came in, but we tell you about these high ankle sprains. That 4 to 6 weeks of out and limited is very serious. Even Jonathan Taylor himself today was like, I knew the recovery timeline, but I figured like, nah, that's not me. But he's like, I'm not good enough to go. He did not practice again today. It is at this point unlikely he's going to be able to play. Where are you thinking? Are you thinking he's got a shot still, or what?
No. I at this point, it's one of those things where if we're watching his practice timeline and he hasn't practiced at all for 2-3 weeks at this point.
Yep.
He's not playing this weekend. I think it's one of those things, especially with ankle sprains, high ankle sprains, whether it's a low ankle sprain or high ankle sprain, you got to test that thing out in practice going into the week. And even after that, we still end up seeing that performance dip a lot of times for a week or two coming back. So for this week, I'm not expecting Jonathan Taylor to play. Going into next week, if he does, I'm still probably going to say, hey, JT, I may be fading that first week that he comes back.
Yeah, even though these guys seem invincible, and even though a guy like Jonathan Taylor, who's an absolute stud, injuries are injuries, man. Yep. Like high ankle sprains are high ankle sprains. Like I know these guys can bounce back a little bit better than you and I and the general public, but high ankle sprains are a tough fucking injury to deal with midseason. So high ankle sprains and hamstrings, and hopefully if you take away anything,
but high ankle sprain with another guy, Cooper Kupp.
Cooper
Kupp. Potentially coming back this week. What do you think his outlook is? Do you think he plays? Do we think he's going to come back and kind of give some spark to that Rams offense?
I do. I do think he plays. Let's see. What did he do today? Let's see if this is updated. I saw him out there running routes. He was looking good. Of course, I saw him through video. I would love to say that I personally saw Cooper Kupp practice. Did not happen. He was officially a limited participant after not practicing yesterday. Yep. Also, offensive tackle, swing tackle Joe Noteboom is limited, so he might be activated off the IR as well. Yep. Big things, man. Look, I kind of have a little soft spot for the Rams coming into the season. I was a little bit more optimistic. I could be crazy, but let me do something real quick. Why don't you fill some airspace here? I just want to look at what their division price is right now. Because let's be honest, I'm not a Seahawks fan. I'm not a Niners fan. And as fun as the Cardinals are, I think it's very obvious that how flawed of a team they are.
Well, for one, I think this does bring up a good point that if come next off season, you get the chance to tune into our division reviews. I think one of us was kind of pretty low on the Rams because of things like, hey, Cooper Kupp can't stay healthy. Matt Stafford can't stay healthy. Puka Nacua can't stay healthy. I'm not going to say which one of us that is.
Yeah, we'll let you guys figure that one out.
Anyways, let's talk about a couple of other running backs with some fairly similar injuries. Aaron Jones, Travis Etienne, kind of both banged up with some hamstring kind of things, which Etienne was more of a surprise in my opinion, was more of a limited participation in practice. What do you think about Travis Etienne?
Yeah, no, that was, first of all, we know hamstring injuries. That's something I like to stay away from the week after. We both do. They call them week to week, which, week to week tells me typically that 2 to 4 week timeline, like, hey, we might be putting them on IR. So I don't know if this is Doug Peterson just like being so inept he doesn't understand what the fuck is he saying, or it wasn't as bad as they thought. But limited practice yesterday, limited practice today. Now, if he doesn't get a full practice, I'm still wheels up on Tank Bigsby, and I like some Dearness Johnson coming out of the backfield. Sure. I mean, he's almost kind of getting phased out. I know he's dealing with some injuries right now, but this is a weird situation going on in Jacksonville.
Yeah, he definitely hasn't showed the pop that he has over the past.
No, I mean, I know he's been banged up, but
yeah.
Aaron. Well, real quick before I forget, Rams 11-1 right now, so I'm just saying I might reinvest a little bit. We'll see. But Aaron Jones, Minnesota Vikings running back. This is a big deal because they called this a hip injury, a minor hip injury. They got an MRI. They called him day-to-day, nothing crazy, right? But now on the injury report, it's coming out as a hamstring.
Right.
And, he's limited practice after not practicing yesterday. So we'll see. But hamstring strains are a lot bigger of a deal to me than a minor hip thing. So I think this is a bigger deal than they let on. TJ Hawkinson coming back from his ACL. He's a limited practice. I don't think he's going to play this week. I think they're going to probably give him another week there. I think they talked about November being early November being kind of a spot for him. Yep. But yeah, that's one to watch, and I'm not too hopeful for Aaron Jones. Like, he might play, but I don't love this situation.
No, I completely agree, and I think we mentioned this before. That offense looked completely different once he left the game against the Jets a couple weeks ago. Aaron Jones potentially coming back against a huge division matchup this weekend. Like you said, I'm not expecting Aaron Jones to be the Aaron Jones that we know this week. If he ends up going, I would not be surprised if he's out again.
Yeah. All right, let's move on over here, folks. I'm gonna give you some really quick updates, and we're gonna talk Thursday Night Football, talk our love hates, talk our bets, and then we'll get you out of here for this game here. So let's move on. I will give you some quick updates. If you have specific questions, drop them in the chat. Let us know. We will do our best to answer those in a quick manner. All right, I'm going to rapid fire this. Devon Achane, full practice off his concussion, likely to clear protocol. He should be good to go. Devontae Adams, holy shit, magically his hamstrings cured. Wow, that water in New York must be nice. He should be good to go.
Big Apple.
Big Apple water, man. Malik Neighbors, full practice, cleared concussion protocol. Let's fucking go, baby. He's back. Dallas Goedert, still not practicing with his hamstring, unlikely this week. Jonathan Allen, defensive tackle for the Commandos, out for the season with a pec tear. Big injury on the defensive side. The stalwart, one of their leaders for the past several years. Tampa Bay wide receiver Mike Evans picked up a lower body tweak. Obviously not very specific there from Todd Bowles, but one to watch out for. Did not practice today. Let's see. He plays on Monday, so this was really like his Wednesday practice. So nothing too concerning yet, but let's see something to keep your eye on. Especially him playing Monday. You got to know how he's trending to make those decisions in your lineup. All right, my friends. We're going to talk about this Thursday Night Football game, but before we do that, let me tell you about what we got going over here on SGPN. The NBA season tips off October 22nd. I definitely didn't know that. So for all you basketball heads, and the NBA Gambling Podcast is hosting a win totals contest. Winner gets a $250 SGPN gift card. Head to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/NBA contest to enter today before the season starts. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/NBA contest. So you're picking win totals there. Obviously, the person with the most accurate score wins. And then, as always, thank you. Another cheers to you, the listeners, for tuning in to the Degen Docs. If you can help us out, head on over to Spotify and give us a 5-star rating and review there, because only you can prevent corporate gambling from taking over. And wherever you're watching this, why don't you just go ahead and drop a like, drop a little subscription on YouTube. Might as well plug that. All right, to something way more important than that social media stuff.
Sure.
SGPN is proud to partner up with the mountainproject.org. They are a local charity for the areas of Western North Carolina that were affected by Hurricane Helene, and then obviously the remnants with Hurricane Milton. I think everyone's seen on social media or seen pictures of just kind of the travesty, but we got to remember kind of behind those pictures, there's real life humans, there's real individuals, there's real lives that were torn apart. So if you are able, please donate. Mountainproject.org. You can say we sent you from SGPN. If you have the highest donation, you'll get a guest spot on the College Football Pick Show. But more importantly, you'll help out real people. This is a local charity. One of the listeners kind of brought to the company and was saying, look, I know these people do well. I personally partner with them, so we know this money is going into good hands. So if you can help, mountainproject.org, we'd appreciate it. And if you can't donate, just spread awareness. Get it in the hands of people that can. All right, let's go ahead and talk about this Thursday night football game that's kicking off here in like 20 minutes. So I will tee it up, and then I will hand it over to you, my friend. Last I checked, maybe you can check me on this.
Let me give you some updated lines here.
Yeah,
so the spread is currently Broncos favored by 2.5. The total is sitting right at 37. The Broncos are favored minus 148 on the money line. New Orleans Saints at plus 124.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. Well, you said totals at 37?
37. Yep. Cool. Around the dot.
All right. Yeah. So this is, Denver Broncos heading to New Orleans, the return of Sean Payton, right? He might be one of the most interesting players in this game because there's a lot of players fucking out. So let's talk about him. Broncos side of the ball, definitely ahead on the injury front here. Yep. Cornerback Pat Surtain out with a concussion. No brainer. Concussion, short week, not going to get cleared in time. Yep. Okay. Right tackle, Alec Palsweski. Definitely messed that up.
May not be as big of an injury out because McGlinchey
exactly
back That's here.
Denver kind of got lucky, right? You never want to lose your best player in Pat Surtain, but right tackle Mike McGlinchey coming off IR. Also, cornerback Damari Mathis coming off our IR. And outside linebacker, really good pass rusher, Baron Browning, also returning from IR. So 3 guys that they get back, 2 guys out. Obviously, Surtain is a loss. And then we go to the Saints side. And
holy smokes, how much time do we have to go through this?
I'm going to rattle it off because we don't have a lot of time to get through all these names. Derek Carr, out. Chris Olave, out. Rashid Shaheed, we'll talk about for a second because meniscus repair. When we talk about meniscus injury, that's an injury to the cartilage in your knee, the kind of shock absorber in your knee. You can either try to conservative rehab with physical therapy, about a month to 6 weeks. You can have a meniscectomy where they simply cut out that injured piece of the meniscus, and it's 4 to 6 weeks. Or better for long-term health, you can repair the meniscus because once you take it out, you don't get it back. You only get so much in your life. That is now a 4 to 6 months. So Rashid Shaheed took the better option for the long term. He's out for the season. Taysom Hill out with the rib injury. Cesar Ruiz out, their starting guard. Pete Werner also out, starting linebacker, and Will Harris out for that team. That is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 starters out for the Saints.
Yep.
That being said, what are you doing for this game?
I am all over the Denver Broncos tonight. Give me Sean Payton in his return to the Superdome. I'll lay the 2.5 with the Broncos. I think, obviously, with the total at 37, this is going to be one of those ugly Thursday night games. Obviously, it could jump over, but with all of the starters out, really, especially on the Saints side, I'm expecting kind of an ugly game. With as far as props go, I do like Spencer Rattler to scurry around in the backfield a little bit, get out into the open field, use his legs a bit. So I will take the over on his rushing yards at 22.5. I think they had him on a bootleg like 15 times last week. So on those bootlegs, he always has that option just to take it and go. Give me Javonte Williams. Again, with all those Saints guys out, even though most of them are on the offensive side of the ball, I do think Javonte Williams has started to show a little bit of a spark there. So give me his over at 45.5. From a Saints perspective, I do like Bud Means coming into this game. I think he had like 6 or 7 targets last week once Olave went out. So give me Bud Means over 3.5 receptions tonight. And then from a Denver standpoint, give me their defense to get in the end zone tonight. I think I think Spencer Rattler as a rookie quarterback might just be in a bad spot for him. So might start to try to force some things, through the passing game. And give me the Denver defense to get in the end zone.
Yeah. No, I will go ahead and where is it? Let me drop my John Hancock down on a lot of you said. Before I get into my analysis, quickly want to speak to Joseph here, asking, is Mostert playing? Yes, Mostert, no injury concerns right now, fully practicing and all those things. I love that. As an RB2 fan, look, Colts rush defense is one of the worst in the NFL. So I think that's a great opportunity there. So I may be adding that to the portfolio. So
I may have something on Mr. Mostert later in the show. So
maybe if I fucking paid attention to our show sheet, I would know that. All right, so let's get into my bets here really quickly as this game kicks off in about 12 minutes. Look, man, I for this game right now where the number is, I just think this game is really ugly. So I don't love it. I told you guys, on this show, I told you on the Propcast, told you on X, when Derek Carr got injured, I immediately bet the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I immediately bet the Denver Broncos the following week because they had the lines out. Bastards over at DraftKings would not let me parlay them, but here we are. So I have a Denver Broncos -1 at a -105 in my pocket. So I don't love it as paying the juice to get the 2.5 or taking it at 3 as it's been fluctuating. Obviously, I do think Denver wins the game, especially with the injury front. But I think that, man, this game's gonna be ugly. But what I do like is Javonte Williams. I'm right there with you. I'm gonna go as anytime touchdown route at plus 155. I do think game script wise, there's not gonna be a lot of touchdowns, but I think they do jam it up in there with Javonte Williams. Why let Bo Nix throw the ball if you don't have to? I think he's definitely a bit of a wild card. Definitely not the most polished pocket passer. If DraftKings wasn't also aware that he has 5 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, I would be giving out his interception prop. But I think Javonte Williams is get some good work there, like you said. Anytime touchdown plus 155 and 75 plus rush and receiving, as he's done some work in the receiving game. I like that as well, plus 115. We saw Sean Tucker take like a 40-yard screen to the house for a touchdown, so I want to cover my bases there. For the Saints side of the ball, give me Jawan Johnson over 35.5 receiving yards at plus 140. We got Bub Means, we got Cedric Wilson, and we got what's the other guy's name? Oh, geez, I was just thinking about it. Tipton or something like that. Tipton, exactly. I can't even fucking think of their names. Look, so these are not guys I want to bet on. I will say also, as a Pitt fan, when everybody on the timeline is complaining about Bub Means drops tonight,
yep,
I try to tell you, man. Look, we saw it at Pitt all the time, so we'll see.
No shit.
But I do think Spencer Rattler in the one game that he did play last week, his 2 leading wide receivers were the tight ends. So give me Jawan Johnson over 35.5 receiving yards. And as a sprinkle, give me Foster Monroe 25 plus at plus 265. And if you really want to get Degen with me, give me Foster Monroe 40 plus receiving yards at plus 750. He was the leading receiver for the Saints just last week. So,
hey, let's bring some injuries in here. On going back to Denver, Devon Ville had a rib injury after that first week. I believe he had 8 targets in week 1, 6 or 8 last week, returning from that rib injury. So give me his over 3.5 as well. I believe that's it. Yes, 3.5 receptions. I believe that's at plus money as well.
I like that little fine there. It seems like, Nix does like to throw to him. The last 2 I will give out. Carl Granderson over quarter of a sack at plus 150. Bo Nix is a guy that loves to run himself into some sacks. And I think the Saints know at home they have to step up. With a rookie quarterback and out there 2 best wide receivers and Taysom Hill, I think they realize they've got to step up. I do like him to get a sack. And I also like Jonathan Cooper over quarter of a sack at -105. He leads the team in sacks. Spencer Rattler last week took 5 sacks in his debut. Yep. This is a beat-up offensive line. They may be forced to throw the ball a bunch. So give me Cooper and Granderson to get home to the quarterback. All right. We're going to move on over to the fantasy space. We're going to talk about our love-hates for this week in the fantasy football realm. What would you like, my friend? Would you like to shed some love, or would you like to bring down the hate hammer?
Oh, I'll let you choose this week.
All right. Yeah, give me the loves.
Okay.
Fuck it.
Roll with
Let's
it.
bring
Roll
some good vibes into the show. 3 guys we really like this week. Not really like, we love this week. J.K. Dobbins, running back for the Los Angeles Chargers. Gus Edwards still on the IR. Yes, I know what you're going to say. Kamani Vidal. Yeah, cool. He's a great story in fantasy, but come on. J.K. Dobbins is the lead back. This Cardinals defense is not only beat up with Kaiser White, Sean Murphy Bunting. I just don't think they're that good of a team. We'll talk about it in a little bit, but I really think that the Chargers are going to control this game. And Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt are back. So give me J.K. Dobbins to have himself a day. Zay Flowers, wide receiver for the Baltimore Ravens. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Jamel Dean, their best cornerback, is currently questionable. He's dealing with a bit of a hamstring. So whether he's going to play or not, I expect him to be limited at the very best case. Zay Flowers has had over 100 yards each of these past 2 weeks. He's had some favorable matchups, and he walks himself right into another favorable matchup. I think there's going to be points flying off the board there. I talked about the over as kind of one of my early locks there. The numbers kind of moved up now, but Zay Flowers there, and Chris Godwin, same game, a lot of points. Ravens also one of the worst pass defenses in the league, giving up a ton of yards. We saw T. Higgins and Jamar Chase rout them a couple weeks ago, and I expect Mike Evans and Chris Godwin to do the same thing. Godwin's having himself a hell of a season so far. So why don't you bring the show down and tell us about who we hate this week?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is just a bad spot for the Arizona Cardinals on Monday night against the LA Chargers. You already talked about them a little bit, but the Chargers defense, I don't know where this Chargers defense necessarily came from, but I think they're like 4th against the pass so far, and have really shut most rushing teams down as well. So I just don't see Kyler having much of a chance against that LA Chargers defense. George Pickens, there's a little bit of a debate there in Pittsburgh on who is going to start at quarterback. We know George Pickens can be a diva at times as well. And now you got Sauce Gardner coming to town. So not a big fan of George Pickens this week. And then Michael Pittman Jr., I believe he has only gone over his over-under number one time. I think it's right around 50 yards. He still has that back injury kind of a thing going on. And all of a sudden, hey, we thought he was coming back last week, but Anthony Richardson is slated to start this week. We know how that Colts offense looks with him behind center rather than Joe Flacco. So Michael Pittman may not have a great day come Sunday.
Yep, right there with you. All right, we're going to move out of this fantasy world and into our props of the week. I will kick us off here with my 3 favorite props for this NFL Week 7. First one, Demario Douglas, over 60.5 receiving yards and a nice plus 180. Let me tell you, not only did New England Patriot fans really like to see Drake May out there, but Demario Douglas did, man. He went for, let me pull it up. I think he went for over 100 yards just last week in May's debut there. But he came in as their wide receiver 1. They have a clear connection. And that was against a very solid, went for 6 receptions, 92 yards and a touchdown. That was a very solid Houston Texans defense. You know what's really not a solid defense? Jacksonville Jaguars. Pretty fucking terrible. Caleb Williams absolutely diced them up for, I think he had 4 or 5 touchdowns. He was throwing to everybody. I think Drake May is able to put it on Demario Douglas. And even, I mean, this could be 1 or 2 deep shots, but I think Douglas is their wide receiver 1, and I love the matchup. So give me that there. Kenneth Walker, another matchup that I really love. The Atlanta Falcons are giving up almost 145 yards on the ground at almost 4.5 yards to 5 yards a clip. I think the Seahawks, Kenneth Walker is a really good running back. I think sometimes they forget that, but I think this week is something where they realize we need to run the fucking ball. Especially, Atlanta's pass defense is better than their rush defense. They're missing the linebacker down there. We'll see if Justin Simmons is able to play. But I like Kenneth Walker over 70.5 rushing yards there at plus 115. And then finally, Zay Flowers. I talked about him in the loves. I love the matchup. Him and Lamar have a clear connection. He's been over 100 yards the past 2 weeks. Give me him over 65.5 receiving yards at plus 120. Who do you like this week?
Well, before I go there, just to comment on a couple of your props this week. One of us really likes the New England Patriots, and one of us remembers that Jacksonville has been in England for a whole week here. So
Hmm.
Demario Douglas, as much as I like young Pop here, I'm not quite sure about that one. Kenneth Walker, on the other hand, I do like that one, especially for that Seattle offense. They really need to turn to Kenneth Walker. He's a stud.
Yeah.
And when they win, he has big days. Zay
Yep.
Flowers, on the other hand, he is their number one wide receiver. Baltimore's going to have some offense through the air. It's going to run through Zay Flowers, so I like that one as well. But Geno Smith, I expect him to go over 261 and a half passing yards. Biggest thing is they're expecting points down in Atlanta this week. It's in a dome. Geno Smith has weapons all over the place. We know for whatever reason they are a pass heavy offense, and he's only missed that number one time this year. And that takes us all the way back to week 1. So give me the over on Geno Smith's passing yards. Tony Pollard, anytime touchdown. For whatever reason, I don't know why I expect Tennessee to do anything on offense, but you know what? They do run the ball fairly well. The passing game is pretty suspect as well. So give me Tony Pollard to get in the end zone. He has scored in the past 2 games, and there's no Tyjae Spears to split some reps with. And then give me Chuba Hubbard over 80 and a half rushing yards at plus 130. He's gone over 90 yards in the past 4 games, and Washington has given up over 90 yards to opposing running backs in every single game this season. So, yeah, absolutely love Chuba this week. And I believe that wraps up our week 7 props of the week.
It does. That's a nice little nugget you gave out there. Yeah. Look, I love Pollard. I love Hubbard this week. We'll see if Geno gets there. I do kind of like the Seahawks this week, so we'll see. All right. Let me tell you about Underdog Fantasy, folks. I talked about it on the front of the show, but we want to tell you a little more because we love our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Pick'em, one of the biggest menus for all of sports. You could take all the plays we liked and go make an underdog lineup for the game tonight. Obviously, you got to get that in pretty quick right now, but they've got NFL, they've got college football, they got MLB, MMA, WNBA, NASCAR. They've got NBA whenever that shit returns, right? And they've also got Boosttober is upon us, which means you're getting a spooky amount of profit boots. I just dropped one for our play there. They're giving out 31% profit boots like candy.
Nice.
They're trying to give money away. So obviously use our promo code SGPNDoc to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Look, we want to give you away money through our picks and, of course, through our friends and our sponsors. So sign up with promo code SGPNDoc to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPNDoc. Of course, we're going to give out our Underdog Play of the Week here. Why don't you start us off, and then I'll finish us off with the last 2.
Sounds good. Well, actually, you better take the first one because you are a big New England Patriot fan.
Yep, this week.
That's right.
So, I'll take.
You take the first 2. I'll take the last 2.
Yeah, that makes it easy. So, Drake May, rookie looked good, man. He looked good in his first start against a much, much, much tougher matchup. He looked good on the ground. I think Derek gave that out as his rushing prop last week. That cashed. He had over 240 yards just through the air last week against a much better Houston Texans defense. Now he goes up against a very, very porous Jacksonville defense. I like Drake May to have himself a day in London. Obviously I talked about I like this team to get it done, but win or lose, even if they're losing, they're going to have to throw the ball. So I like May to go higher than 240 and a half passing rush yards. And then Chuba Hubbard. Derek just talked about him, and I also agree. He's got a great matchup. Remember, no Jonathan Allen, one of the biggest one of the best interior defensive linemen in the league. This is a big loss for them, folks. One of the only things that has worked for the Carolina Panthers this year has been feeding Chuba Hubbard. So I think they continue to do that with higher 69.5 rush yards. What do you got for us?
So we already talked about Michael Pittman, how he is on our hate list. So we're expecting him to go lower than 50 and a half receiving yards for a couple different reasons. Injury is still kind of lingering there with the back injuries just take a while to get fully healthy. So give us the lower on him, as well as with AR coming back. Not a great matchup. for Michael Pittman. And then J.K. Dobbins to go higher than 72.5 rushing yards. Again, got to wait around until Monday for this one to fully cash. But the Cardinals have given up the third most rushing yards this season. They're giving up almost 5 yards a carry. And we think J.K. Dobbins and that LA Chargers offense is going to have a little bit of a day against the Arizona Cardinals. So give us the higher on J.K. Dobbins rushing yards.
Yes, sir. Put those 4 picks together and it plays out a nice, cool 10-1. So a nice little 10x play for the good folks there. All right, we've got our best bets. We've got our DGen parlay, and then we're getting out of here to watch our bets cash. So we hope you stick with us because it's the best part of the show. We're giving out our best bets. Before we do that, contest time. Look, folks, there's 130 of you folks between X and YouTube right now on the line right now. We can finish this off. Road to 100 subscribers. It is a contest. As soon as we hit 100 subscribers, we are giving away $100 in an SGPN gift card. You can get a ton of cool-ass merch. You can get water bottles. You can get stickers. You can get shirts. You can get hoodies. Whatever you want on us. Look, we want to give away our bosses money. All you need to do is subscribe to our YouTube. And Derek just dropped it in the comments. Subscribe to the YouTube. Take a screenshot.
Hey, that wasn't me. That was the intern.
Was that the intern? Oh, there's the intern. Look, the intern. Now, we do have an intern now, folks. So if you feel like the show's gotten
moving up
better,
in the world,
it might be due to the intern. If it's gotten worse, definitely let us know and we'll fire the intern. But hey, all you got to do, subscribe to the YouTube. Takes 2 seconds. The whole time I'm rambling on about this, you could, hey, idiot, subscribe to the YouTube. I'm talking about me. I'm the idiot. Subscribe to the YouTube. Take a screenshot. Fill out the form, and boom. Then we're going to randomize it once we hit 100 subscribers, and we're going to give it away $100 gift card to somebody. We want to give away our boss's money. Please let us do that. We are about 81 subscribers right before we went off, so less than 20 people. So make sure you get yours in, subscribe to the YouTube now, and submit that form. All right, enough of that. Let's get to the best bets. This doc here, it changed a little bit. Let me check the current number for this because I think it popped up to +6. I think my Patriots. So I'm gonna get every half point I can get here, even though I don't think we'll need it.
Okay.
New England Patriots. Let me check. We got it at +5.5 there, but I do believe I just saw it pop up at a 6. Yep, +6 at -108 right now over on DK. Money line at +220. Yes, please. So Drake May looked pretty damn good. He looked pretty damn good. You know who didn't look good? Has never looked good this season? The Jacksonville fucking Jaguars. All right. Well, let's be honest. I gave him out under 6.5 at a nice +3-1 earlier in the season. Doug Peterson, you know, he's taking the Urban Meyer effect of I think he's got one foot out the door. He's kind of blaming all these other people. He's not taking accountability. Not what you want to see from a head coach. You've got Goldilocks, Trevor Lawrence. Not living up to the hype.
If they lose, do they leave him in England?
Is that Doug P or is that Goldilocks?
Either one. Well, Goldilocks, they have to pay a lot more. So
they do have to pay a lot more. I think another aspect is they just got rid of one of their standout defensive tackles in Roy Robertson Harris there. He traded him to the Seattle Seahawks. So that's another piece of their defensive line. Like, they're clearly selling. I understand that Jags' second home is England, but you know who's ready to take over England? The New England fucking Patriots. All right? They're back. They're ready to throw some tea in the harbor and give me them +5.5, +6.5. Let's be honest. I'm on their money line at +220 to +200. So I do like the Patriots. I think Drake May is able to take advantage of a really bad defense. Plain and simple. Houston Texans money line +124. They play the Green Bay Packers this week, and I think they're a better team. I mean, it's really, you know, Jordan Love is very much, I think he beats bad teams, and I think he doesn't perform well against good teams. I think the Houston Texans still have a pretty good secondary. I know they've got some guys beat up there in the secondary, but I think it's one of the best secondaries he's faced. And Jordan Love is good for a turnover too. So I think it's going to happen. Joe Mixon is back. Lermy Tunzel is practicing. That's a big for them. I know no Nico Collins, but Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs, whether it's Mechie or Robert Woods, whoever steps in that third role, I think that offense is going to be able to put up enough points. I do like the Houston Texans on the money line. Tennessee Titans +9.5. I just think they keep it close. You know, they've got a good defense. really, they have a good team outside of the quarterback position, which I understand, very important position. But they clearly have told Will Levis, dude, don't like they've tried to tell him like take what the defense gives you. And I think Tony Pollard has himself a good week. The Bills, you can run against the Bills, this Bills team, and I'm not sold on this Bills team yet. I know that they're 4-2. I know that they're atop the division there, but I'm not quite sold on this Buffalo Bills team. I'm not ready to say that they're going to absolutely blow out this Texans team or this Titans team, excuse me. And for my sake and my mental health and my bet's sake, I hope that they roll with Mason Rudolph. Maybe they get Rudolph some reps because he definitely looked like the better of the two quarterbacks. And then finally, the Chargers. Give me the LA Chargers -2 at -112 against the Arizona Cardinals. This is a team that I honestly was not very high on coming in, but they have a plan. They have a great offensive line. They have a great defense. They have a really good quarterback, and they have a head coach who knows what he wants to do with the ball. He wants to run the ball, and he wants to play good defense. The Cardinals, on the other hand, you don't know what you're going to get from them week to week. Again, I talked about Kaiser White. He is dealing with an injury. We've got Sean Murphy-Bunting dealing with a neck injury. Those are two of their biggest, most important players on the defense. I like the Chargers. Yes, they're on the road. It's not that far of a travel spot. Give me the Chargers -2. And those are my best bets for NFL Week 7. What do you got, my friend?
So let's start off with a game that is fairly close to home for you with the Eagles and the G-Men. I do think that Andrew Thomas injury is massive for the Giants. And give me our old friend. Where is he at? There he is. To have a fucking day.
I don't like this at all.
All right. Give me Saquon and the Eagles to go ahead and cover that 3-point spread against the New York Giants coming up Sunday. The Steelers on Sunday Night Football going up against the New York Jets. There is a lot of things going on really with both teams, especially with the whole quarterback controversy there in Pittsburgh. For whatever reason, I think Justin Fields has played pretty damn well up to this point, but for whatever reason, the Steelers are kind of wishy-washy on that whole situation. Justin Fields himself came back, I believe it was earlier today, or I think it was yesterday, and basically said, hey, I didn't play good enough. There's still a controversy out there, whether it's Justin Fields, Wilson out there, Russell Wilson. I really don't think it matters. We got Mike Tomlin at home against who? Ulbrich and the Jets. Mike Tomlin is going to roll here. And if we don't or didn't forget, last time the Steelers were on prime time, they did have a little bit of a misfortune with some weather. I checked the weather report. We're not expecting anything in Pittsburgh. This game is not going to be pushed back an hour and a half. Give me the Steelers on the money line at +120. For whatever reason, I don't know why you like Houston in this game. The Packers are going to roll. The Packers offenses look pretty damn good over the last couple of weeks. And for whatever reason, I'm a CJ Stroud guy. He has started to turn the ball over fairly consistently so far. And the Packers have done a great job at taking the ball away. So give me the Packers at -2.5. And then the Detroit Lions against the Minnesota Vikings. This is perfect for the Lions. You know, the whole Aiden Hutchinson thing has been a massive story all week. For whatever reason, people are slowing down the video and really making sure that leg is flopping in the air as much as they can. His leg's broken. He had surgery. He'll be good and come next year. But at this point, the Lions are going to step up. And for whatever reason, I just don't think Minnesota is going to come off the bye as a better team. I think they were rolling pretty well heading into the bye. And when teams are rolling, they would rather just keep playing. For whatever reason, I think the Lions are going to cover that 2-point spread out there in Minnesota.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, we got another lock battle. So it's going to be fun to see.
So far, one Packers. For the good guys.
That's true. You are up there. So we'll see. We will see there. All right, folks. Foster Monroe, 32-yard catch. Cash it, baby. So we
There you
had
go.
that's Moreau 25 plus at plus 265, whatever the fuck. Cash. We're right on our way to 40 plus 750. Hey, folks, that's what we do here. That's what we do here. Appreciate the update, Joseph.
Winners.
All right, let's get through this, and so we can get out of here and watch some more of these plays cash. First, I got to tell you about our friends over at Rhythm. That is right, folks. Rhythm, the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps bettors of all levels build custom predictive models in seconds and get predictions for betting lines, betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. Bet your own model or make your own, right? Use one of the top performing on the leaderboard or be a cool guy. Say what stats matter to you. Break down that wall. Be like, I can be a professional sports gambler too. Look at me. I got Rhythm. I got a robot that's going to tell me what I need to do. So claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. And BetUS. That's right, folks. We're brought to you by BetUS. Bet with the best in the business in BetUS. Been around for more than 30 years. Yes, they are still raffling off that 1960 Ford Mustang. All you got to do is sign up and deposit $100. And to make it better for you, use our code. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. Promo code SGPN so they know you sent you. We'll give you a $125 deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits. All right, folks. Definitely head on over to BetUS.
Degen time.
Degen time. We've got our 2 Degen parlays, and then we're going to go up out of here.
Hey, Elijah Moore is now the wide receiver 2 over there in Cleveland. I expect him to have a little bit of a day this week. So give me Elijah Moore over 50.5 receiving yards. We already talked about the Saquon Barkley in his return against the New York Football Giants. So give me his over 35.5 receiving yards in this one. And then we got a kind of a how degen do we want to get here?
Uh-oh.
I took the bigger one. But Raheem Mostert, we had Joseph asking about him earlier. Give me him to score a tud this week. He is kind of their goal line back. At least he was last year. Now that he's coming back off of that injury, he had 18 carries last week. Didn't find the end zone. I expect him to this week. But if we can get him in to the end zone twice, that odd goes up from basically 64 to 1 all the way up to 273 to 1.
Wow, look at you. Okay, you gave us a little
3 things to happen. A wide receiver to have a decent day at 50 yards, 51 yards. Saquon to get some, screens out of the backfield, and then Raheem Mostert to score a couple tuds.
Interesting. Are they going to throw to Saquon ever since he lost them the game to the Falcons with that crucial drop?
Yep.
Good question. We'll see.
Yep.
All right, my Degen parlay. It is 5 guys to score a touchdown, 5 guys who need to find the end zone, who I believe will find the end zone. Javonte Williams. It starts tonight with Javonte Williams, and I already gave him out. Antonio Gibson, Tony Pollard, Chuba Hubbard, Alexander Madison. We talked about a good amount of these guys. We gave the case for Tony Pollard, Chuba Hubbard. Talked about Javonte. Alexander Madison, he's the RB1 now in Las Vegas. The Rams are really bad to stop a run. They can't stop anything. They can't stop anything, to put it plain and simple. And then Antonio Gibson. I originally had Stevenson in this lineup, Romandre, but he has not practiced in the past 2 weeks. So it looks like it's going to be another Gibson week. Again, I'm on the Patriots. I think they take advantage of this very poor Jacksonville defense. Look, I know it's 5 guys, but it's 5 guys who are going to be standing in the end zone this weekend. And all you got to do is put them all together and a 62 to 1. All right, folks. What do you got for the good people before we get out of here, my friend?
Absolutely nothing. Enjoy football coming up this weekend. If you can, please do follow us on all of the socials that are on the screen: X, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all the things. Don't just follow us, share us out. Tell a friend, tell a grandma, whatever you do. We really appreciate all the support that we get.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, folks. We appreciate you chopping it up with us, hanging out with us here. We hope you have good luck in your bets. Good luck if you're tailing us. As long as you're not fading us, we're okay. So, hey, remember, sign up for that contest. Once we hit 100, we want to give away that $100.
Yep.
you know what they say, folks. A lock a day keeps the bookie away. And here at the Degen Docs, we've got your prescription. Until next time, folks, let it ride. What's up, Degens? Doc here. As a proud member of the U.S. Army and a lover of football, sometimes those two things cross over on here. But as you probably already know, as a lowly captain, these are just my opinions. These are not opinions that are representative of the entire DoD or the U.S. Army. The same thing goes for any references to any commercial products or hyperlinks. Again, that does not constitute an endorsement from the DoD or the Army. I hope you enjoyed the show, and as always, let it ride, baby.